In programming languages, we have a concept called functions. Functions are a set of commands that can take entry or entries, do their calculations on them, and return results. In MySQL, we have the same concept, but here we call them procedures. In this video, we'll be talking about stored procedures and how we can create, edit, call, and drop them. This is the basic syntax for creating a procedure. First, we type create procedure, then we name that procedure inside the parentheses. We'll go some functions, and after that, we can introduce a SQL statement, a command between begin and end keywords. Now let's go to the terminal and see how it works. Here in our sales table, we have a column called product ID. If you pay attention to the IDs, we have some products with some IDs that have more than one sales, and some of them have one sales only. We are about to create a stored procedure that takes the product ID and returns the number of sales that that specific product has made. If you watched the triggers video of this playlist, you remember that we changed that delimiter for some reason. Here is the same story. We are creating a procedure, and inside that procedure, we are defining a SQL statement. SQL statements are ended with semicolon. So when we're creating the procedure and we type the semicolon, that is the default MySQL delimiter, and if we enter, we press enter on the keyboard, MySQL will get confused and consider that delimiter as the end of the command and will try to execute that command. And since the procedure is not created and the command is incomplete, everything will mess up again and MySQL won't create our procedure and returns an error instead. So the first step is changing the default delimiter to something else. The way we change the delimiter, the default one, is typing delimiter and typing a new one for it. Now, if I type something like, for example, show tables and type the default delimiter, the command won't be executed until I type the new delimiter. This is how we can change the delimiter to something else. Now it's time to create the procedure. I type this command and it says create a procedure with this name, get order count, and know it as in product ID. Know the products as the product ID. Now we begin the SQL statement with wrapping between begin and end, and the statement is selecting all records from the cell count that related to this product ID when the product ID is given by the get order count while we call it. Now I press enter and I type the new delimiter and the procedure will be stored. Now it's safe to turn the delimiter back to the first one, to the default one. So I type delimiter and type the default one. Now everything gets back to default. Now that we have the procedure stored, we can call it just by simply type the call and then the name of procedure and give it the value inside the parentheses that we want to do the calculations on it. Let's see how it works. We had created this get orders count and now we want to use it. I type call and then get orders count and give it a product ID. For example, the ID 1, and we see that it has 2 sales on the sales table. If we change it to something else, for example 3, that has only 1 record, we will get 1 as the total sales for the specific record. Also, there's a way to modify the procedure that we have created. We don't need to remove them and create new ones, and we can just edit them by typing alter procedure and then the procedure name, and the rest of command will be as we type here as the edited version. And if we wanted to delete a procedure exactly like what we did with the triggers, we can type drop procedure if exists and then the name of the procedure, and this is the procedure will be dropped. So if I go to terminal and type drop procedure and the name of it, this easy, I can drop the procedure I created. And this was the whole story about the stored procedures in MySQL that are called functions in other programming languages. You learned how you can create them, use them, edit them and drop them. Of course, the SQL statement of procedures can be much more sophisticated, and also you can have as many procedures as you need on your server.